Fam Bam, let's talk about what everybody is thinking about. Ramageddon. What is Ramageddon? RAM shortages. DRAM, VRAM, and HBM. All of it. We're all in a bind right now. And it's not temporary. Not only is it just going to affect RAM, not only if you just need RAM, but if you also need a GPU or even a SSD. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I'm Chris Mizo, and I talk about PC and tech, and let's get into it. If you need a GPU or SSD or some RAM, I highly suggest you to go down to the description box and get it as soon as possible. This is what the video is about. If you want to know exactly the reason why and when it's going to end, you're going to want to make sure to stay tuned. This whole RAM issue isn't just an illusion. This isn't a thing that brands are just trying to use to sell more. This isn't going to be your typical Reddit panic. This is a real chain supply issue that we're having today. This is going to affect gamers, and it's also going to affect enthusiasts. Here's the deal. AI has practically walked in to every single store at the same time using its AI powers and said, give me everything you got. Data centers are buying up memory just like how I buy thermal paste. But just imagine if I just had an infinite amount of money. They are grabbing up DRAM for servers, HBM for accelerators, LPDDR for edge AI, meaning the everyday consumer are unfortunately picking up the scrap pile. It's not only affecting RAM on the PC side of the coin, it's also affected motherboards to non-existent sales, especially that Black Friday just had recently passed. From your favorite brands to your newly pushed out brands, they're all suffering between about 40 to 50% less than expected sales. You can't build a PC without RAM. The worst part is that this is also going to cause a delay in some of the new motherboards that are supposed to be released this upcoming month, including the MSI X870E Wi-Fi Max, which was scheduled for the end of this month of December of 2025. Unfortunately, manufacturers are not scaling back supply. They pivoted fabs to AI-focused memory because guess what pays more? I know I'm not paying more than what I need to, especially when it comes to a gaming PC. But when it comes to corporate clusters, they're willing to spend everything that they've got. Team Group also warns that this is only the beginning. DRAM, NAND prices have nearly doubled in a single month. And it's all because memory manufacturers are shifting to AI-focused HBM instead of consumer RAM and SSDs. That just means everyday RAM that you get for your PC is just going to get more expensive and more harder to find. It's also going to limit the production. A single 16GB DDR5 chip is already around $27. Pushing a simple 16GB of RAM stick well over $200 in raw components cost alone. And here's the kicker. This could keep getting worse to 2026 and beyond because AI companies are buying up production capacity faster than the fabs can expand. If you're planning to build or you're waiting for RAM or SSD deals or even GPU deals, you might want to move sooner rather than later. Those cheap early 2025 kits for RAM kits, 2024 pricing for GPUs and SSDs, they're gone. That's why RAM prices are inflated. It's not just going to pop up to 2023 prices in January 2026. I'd love to sugarcoat it, but I gotta be real with you. We're probably going to eat through 2025 through 2026, unless something breaks the manufacturer's rebalance production, and they have zero motivation to do that quick. Now here's where this connects to GPUs and why this would even hurt it more. VRAM comes from the same companies, same wafer allocation, same material bottleneck, same demand pressure. When memory suppliers prioritize HBM because AI money is stupid high, who wants their RAM sticks just sitting on shelves when they know they can get the money right now? GDDR is going to get pushed down on the priority list. That's the stuff we need for gaming GPUs. And we're already hearing that Nvidia isn't bundling VRAM like they used to. That means board partners now have to hunt for their own memory instead of getting it packaged lower availability, higher per chip cost, and less negotiation power for smaller brands. Higher production costs equal higher retail price. GPUs were already expensive. And VRAM scarcity, it's not going to take a genius to figure out where this is headed. You guys know how scalpers act. We've all been here before, except the last time was silicon and logistics. SSDs are in the next line of pressure. NAND flash and DRAM cache does not get immunity. Just because drives aren't talked about as loudly. You want a Gen 5 8TB SSD for under $750? Forget about it. If DRAM stays strained and NAND fabs follow AI demand waves, SSD prices are going to creep up the same way GPU pricing will. We're looking at a full-out chain reaction, not just an isolated shortage. RAM is the first punch. VRAM supply is the second. GPU prices will take the hit, and SSDs will be waiting behind the curtain for their turn. AMD to allegedly raise their prices by at least 10% in 2026. Nvidia said they're not going to provide VRAM anymore when it comes to their brand partners. They could go get it themselves, so that way they deal with the fiasco. Now listen to this. AMD's RX 9070 XT is about $600 USD today. By at least 2026, you can certainly expect that pricing to go at the minimum of $660 to $700 USD. What about Nvidia? Even though Nvidia hasn't officially announced pricing, which is sly, especially that they're throwing it all on the brand partners. They're the ones that are going to be responsible for the price increases, due to providing their own VRAM, and plus the labor it takes to install. But more than likely, they're not going to look to charge for labor. Instead, they're going to lose at cost. Even then, the RTX 5070 Ti could go back up as high as $1,000. Kind of a post-war flashback of January to February 2025. Man, I just feel like we were just here. RTX 5080s could go up as high as $1,300 to $1,400 easy, just to upgrade your GPU. This is why I stress about getting a GPU or SSD, especially today. If you're going to need a GPU or you need storage that's not a hard drive, make sure to get it before 2025. Otherwise, it's going to be a flashback of September 2025, when you had hundreds of RAM just sitting there on the shelves between $90 to $120, including CL26. The last thing you want to do is pay 2 to 3 times more for a product that you could have had, especially for RTX 5080 or 9070 XT. Make sure to look for the best deals in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo, signing out.